So here we are at the first turn, the first movement phase, right after the first movement phase of the turn player. And what he's done, took a look at the two stacks, compared them, and said, you know, I can't face the Imperial fleet with that monitor there. No way in hell. So he spread out, sent some of his troops down to Alpha Centauri to help garrison that. He's worried about that. He's worried he's going to lose his fleet there too, but we'll see what happens. And then spread out and laid 3 more outposts down for the additional economic benefit. For his own benefit, he built some fighters. That may not really fit with the strategy that I'm pursuing with him, but it does help improve the space combat strength, and he's planning on putting them at Sol and using his fleet to try to pursue the battle elsewhere. His total production was 27 points. Maintenance costs were 23. So he only had 4 more points to spend on production, or maybe I'm wrong, 24, and now I produced 4, so yeah. I'm on the Imperial reaction phase, and they're considering a move to Barnard Star to destroy this outpost, and I think they're going to take care of that, and we'll see where it goes from there. The Imperials were successful in that move. Bombardment disrupted the counter, which is flipped over like this. They were rolling, I think, on the 21 to 27 table. They needed a 1, 2, or 3 to successfully bombard. And then troop combat, it still gets to fight even though disrupted, and they were able to get a +3, which is an automatic destruction of it, and the best it could get on any one unit was a -1, and it managed to kill a 2 strength point regular ground troop. That would have gone several rounds. The way combat works is kind of interesting. If the defender has more troops than the attacker, the defender can withhold things like the outpost marker, and then the planet can't be conquered as easily. It can't be conquered in the first round, or in the first turn of combat. I don't remember how long turns are here, but probably not too long. Given that it's 1 jump, they're probably a month each. Okay, and oh no, it's more than 1 jump. Wow, I don't know how long they are. And now I think I'm going to look at the Sol forces and see if they can get in there and do something about that, because this may be this is certainly a much weaker stack without that monitor in place, and they may be able to handle it, and they may want to. I've decided the Earth fleet is still too weak to actually handle that Imperial fleet, so I pulled everything back. All those outpost markers are there for the picking. That's kind of painful, but these missile bases may be able to hurt the Imperials if they try to wipe down my production too much. Right now it looks painful for the Sol player. Just can't face that whole fleet easily. So since the Imperials are starting their turn not at a civilized world, they have to take what's called frontier maintenance. Now this isn't an option if you can pay for maintenance. Essentially they had to roll a die for each ship. A number of their ships are now disrupted. The bonus is they have a ton of money now from not being at a planet. It's kind of weird. Undisrupting ships costs a little bit more. It's going to cost them $1 extra in maintenance for the next turn. It also reduces their combat effectiveness and reduces their chance of actually jumping anywhere. So they may not make it out of this kind of dangerous place. And that's something, you end up in this bad spiral if you don't have supplies, where you may just start losing those ships that you have unsupplied. And that would be more expensive than whatever they gained from it. On the other hand, they have money to build more stuff with. All right. So I probably should have done some of this before rolling for maintenance, but I rolled on the Imperial intervention table and ended up getting an economic boom, which gave 10 more bucks. So the Imperium was quite wealthy. Then I said, okay, I'm going to spend a point of my glory and roll to increase in the hopes of getting a budget increase, because that's permanent once it happens. Well, I ended up getting a no more appeals for the duration of this war. So, you know, it's a shame to use that glory, but I think this was the time to do it. The Imperials built a ton of outposts, some transports, and a replacement troop, with the intention of trying to gain control of these outposts that are currently well within their zone and can't really be attacked without going through here or here. This one's actually pretty easy when it comes down to it. It's just the Terrans haven't built a tanker in order to up my productive capabilities. The danger of that is what we saw here. Glory, outposts being destroyed drops your glory or changes the glory value. So having a lot of outposts is cool for income, but it definitely puts you at more risk. After much consideration, the Imperials pulled everything back. They made their die rolls to get their disordered units back, or disrupted ships back, and the rest of their ships made it back, obviously. They were considering attacks on Alpha Centauri, attack on Proxima Centauri. The latter, well, in any case, they're down to less than 50-50 of being able to neutralize, so they'd be taking shots at everything that bombed or tried to land. They decided that risk was too high, especially given their strategy of trying to increase their economics at this point. Given that, then they didn't really have any good reason not to be back here and to defend that. There was consideration that, well, it's worth the risk to attack something, because even if I lose my home planet, I can go back and win it back, maybe. But that just seems silly, and there's no reason to be out at these outposts that are not safe places. For the Terran turn, they've decided to push their fleet back. Well, their transports back, so they don't have to pay for them. They'll be at an outpost. They're guaranteed to survive there with their 1 maintenance rating. They don't want to do that with their scouts because they kind of need them for combat. And they've invested in another monitor. And they're going to try to fortify themselves. I don't know how good that's going to work, or how well that's going to work. This is a tough game. I looked at the numbers. Even with all these units disrupted, they get -1s on the die roll then. But there's still that mighty monitor, and I'm just scared of the thing. It's got 7 shields, which means it's going to be pretty hard to kill it with 1 die. You know, I don't have anything with more than a 5 beam factor. It's got missiles, which means the long-range combat, I'm going to suffer. Battles start at long range. So making that attack seems like a bad idea at this point. I'll leave it up to the Imperials' hands, but their expansion plans sound like a really good plan for them. And at the end of the Imperial second turn, what we see is they've spread out and grabbed a lot of those additional outposts that they built for, and also are taking advantage of that same option, putting their transports where they're not going to cost them, but not there. All up here. In order to reduce the costs. They got another economic boom bonus, and spent the money this time mainly on maintenance. It's really hard to keep your fleet alive in this game. Just painful. So we're going to see what happens, but basically both sides are trying to get to a point where they can launch something. Now, the Terran income should be higher in general than the Imperium one, but because the Imperials are getting these bonus income rolls, theirs is higher, and now they're setting themselves up for almost a permanent higher. The problem here is, it looks like defense wins the game. If you can expand and defend, now there's this back door, which I may well go try for. But the problem is, I've got one active fleet to protect me here. My planets are worth a lot more to me as the Terran player than anything the Imperium has. So if I go off gallivanting over here, I might lose something important. Whereas if the Imperials made an attack, they were willing to risk that, because trading planets would be a worthwhile goal for them. Just something we're looking at here. Now, I misspoke on the first tape where I said, I think I did, where I said the glory scale starts shrinking right away. It doesn't. It's not until after the third turn. So you got 3 turns where you have to go full glory. Also, winning and losing isn't really that big a thing. Winning or losing is just a way of generating peace. It doesn't really matter, as far as I can tell.